Hi, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So yes, you do see in the agenda, redlined a revision to this, in the amount of sales tax and sales and use tax exemption requested. And if that looks a bit off, it is. But here is why. The Ferromar, Mary Higgins is representing Ferromar. She's on the Zoom here today. Ferromar is a company, a clean energy company that manufactures pre-insulated panels for commercial and industrial buildings. They currently have an option at 22 Charles Street. 22 Charles Street and the Charles Street Business Park is owned by the city, by the Binghamton Local Development Corporation. It is the site of the former cogeneration facility. As you know, we have ownership of some acreage at Charles Street. This is not included. So we have no ownership stake in this building. They are also engaged in looking at an option on additional acreage that we are in ownership with, that the BLDC controls over at Charles Street. Those are vacant parcels there. That is sort of a phase 2 project. So their first goal is to gut 22 Charles Street and renovate that building for purposes for their company. So again, it involves a significant undertaking to clear out the existing cogen plant and relocate their manufacturing machinery from Hartford, Connecticut. If initial phase, so that is what's for consideration today. The initial phase will focus on fulfilling their contract to install Phyrotherm panels on the exterior of Terminal 1 at JFK Airport in New York City, with production taking place in Binghamton. This will involve hiring approximately 40 local New York State residents within the first 2 years, contributing to the regional job market and boosting the local economy. Expected outcomes include state-of-the-art manufacturing facility, creation of high-quality jobs, and advancement of clean energy practices in Binghamton. So the first request is for a sales tax exemption of $66,800, which is only related to the work as described in the application for 22 Charles Street. So I just wanted to clear that up. What they did inadvertently was put, as they're building out their full budget, they added the phase 2 cost as well, which would involve new construction and much bigger, much more, a much different project. So
you do have updated applications in your.
Yes, so so everything has been updated. So I don't know if there are any questions related to the sales tax exemption request.
What's the timeline to get up an operation? Is there any timeline?
Mary, I know you have a rather aggressive timeline. Would you be able to answer that question?
Sure. So we're hoping for the phase 1 that the timeline is 12 months. We're supposed to get the first load of panels over to JFK at the beginning of 2025. So that's what we're identifying as phase 1 and hoping by the end of this year. But we're giving it 12 months because it's be ongoing.
Well, it's a great location for what you want to do. So
it is. It's nice to see some more
yeah
activity there.
What's the intended use when the airport project considers?
Mary, I'm not sure if you heard that question. The intended use when the airport project, when this contract expires, what would be the plans for the facility?
We would continue making panels and consistent R&D, advance our panels, and we have a pipeline of projects. The Terminal 1 is just our first, and that's why we have the aggressive deadline. And that's what the shift in, that's why we're trying to move as fast as possible. But we're working with NYCHA, Con Edison, National Grid. We have a lot of other interested parties with other pilot projects, and we're also doing a pilot project with NYSERDA.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussions?
No, there's nothing having to do with phase 2.
No, the application for consideration today is only related to 22 Charles. It's the cogen for that.
Well, I noticed the cart's a little bit before the horse on this project, as you've already started construction on it before you've gotten approval or had a public hearing or anything like that. Is that correct? Mary?
We haven't started construction. We've started decommissioning the cogeneration plant. We haven't pulled down any walls or anything. And that is with approval from the city of Binghamton.
So the monies that you're asking for the tax exemption have nothing to do with the demolition?
That is phase 2.
Well, you're doing the demolition right now.
We
They're
are
aware.
decommissioning the cogeneration plant.
Correct. So are any of the funds that you're asking for related to that demolition?
Well, yeah, that is the decommissioning of the cogeneration plant and moving our manufacturing equipment into the facility from Hartford, Connecticut is phase 1. Phase 2 is demolishing walls in the building and expanding.
So who's performing the decommissioning that's going on right now?
We are.
No, what company? Where are they from?
We have a crew from Georgia.
You do realize we have a local labor policy in this effect with funding for here, do you not?
We do. We are working with the city of Binghamton on finding local people as well, but we are hoping to get, we just wanted to hit the ground running before we needed to begin decommissioning as soon as possible, and we got the approval.
So you can bring people all the way up from Georgia before you can find somebody that's capable of it, doing it in this city. Rogers Trucking is about 200 yards down the road. LCP, lots of different contractors in this area, perfectly capable of handling that demolition. That's how that power plant was built. Local people,
So
people capable of doing that right here in the community.
what I want to clarify is the request of the exemption that you're requesting, is it connected to, so any of the work, none of the work that you're doing now, is it tied into the request that you're making today?
Yes, it would be.
Sales tax.
Yes.
So what, so some of this exemption would be applicable to the demolition that you're doing now, or the fit out of the manufacturing equipment for the purposes
It
of?
would, it would be, it would be both. It would be, like rental of equipment and everything for the demolition of the, that we're doing now, and then for the reconfiguring of the existing facility to work with our equipment once we do have it all demoed out. So obviously it was a power plant and we're putting a manufacturing facility in there. So we're going to be having to run new electric and new plumbing and new mechanical systems within the existing shell that's there now. And we have contracted with local contractors to do all that work. We have a local electrician, L&M Electric, working on the plant with us doing the demolition right now. Anywhere we can get local, we have been getting local, and everyone's been very helpful, giving us resources to get local people. The crew that we have up from Georgia are a crew that we work with in the past that are there, and we are hiring locally to replace them as soon as possible. But the electricians and the mechanical contractors and everything are all local Binghamton companies.
So you have local mechanical contractors in there now?
We've been talking to local mechanical contractors for when we do the fit out. We I'm trying to remember the name of the mechanical contractor we've been talking to. I'm sorry, the name escapes me. We got him through our real estate guy up there, and I know our project manager's been talking to them about giving them the drawings and everything once we have the drawings for our new fit out. So, and then we have to get a local boiler company to commission the new boiler plant, and like I said, we have a local electrician.
So right now, the non-local portion involves the demolition only. You're not you've not hired any other non-local contractors related to any other part of this phase.
That is correct. And the guys that are there now are specialists at taking apart the hydraulic equipment and everything for that's so.
Cogen.
On the code. So, but the electrician that we have there that's decommissioning everything is a local company that was given to us by the realtor as well. So we've been reaching out to everybody. You know, obviously it's more money to bring in outside people than local people.
Be a no for me.
I'm sorry?
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, is there a motion to approve? A motion? So. What do we do then?
Could we have some clarification, Stacy, maybe on so it sounds like this phase one is the demo phase, and they're already working with non-local contractors, where we have people that sees.
I'm sorry, but is this a problem? I'm sorry, we're working away here diligently. We've been working with everybody. This seems to be, but this is a problem. If this is the way we're going to be treated, I don't understand this. I mean, you're harping on 6 non-local people that we had to get up there to get running. Everyone else is local. I don't understand. Is this a problem for a tax exemption?
Karen, I
I'm
need to
sorry.
interject you.
No,
Karen,
I'm upset.
when you
I'm
and I
actually
had.
very upset. Don't give us the exemption. I don't care. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. We're bringing the amount of money I'm spending up here and the amount of energy and effort we're putting into it. Forget it. Just forget it. I'm not going to be grilled here. I'm not talking. Come on. I'm not talking. I'm done. Mary.
Natalie, you were gonna say something?
When Karen and we've had several, and Mary had several conversations, went through the entire process. They are fully aware that anything that was done pre-approval was not to be included in the application. We had full discussion about that. So what happens, I just want to clarify that we are doing what we are supposed to do. So what happens is, we discuss in detail the labor policy, the board would approve the incentive, then I would sit and have conversation and go over the entire sales tax process along with the labor process. And they are aware of how they need to handle the labor process. If they do not do what they're told or what they're supposed to do, they do not get the sales tax exemption agreement, which therefore then if they don't follow the protocols, then they won't get that agreement, then they can't receive the sales tax benefit. So it was certainly clarified. So on our end, I feel we handled it very correctly. I'm not really sure. It's taking such a.
I'm just trying to understand, so we've got
No, agreed.
the phase one,
Yes.
I think it's confusing,
It
right?
is,
So
it is because, it sounds like there's a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 3. So I was under the impression that phase 1 was the demo and the build out. And then phase 2 was next year, they were adding a whole new addition to the facility. Right.
But it
So
looks like, I think
that
I'm
I
looking
was a
at the
little-
revised, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the revised.
Yeah,
Total project cost of $1.2 million, right? Looking at that.
right.
Correct.
Demo is 125,000, so 10% of the $1.2 million. Right? So there is significant more work to be done if the
Correct.
demo is what is in process now.
Correct.
Presumably, they've
They still
only
have to fit
completed a
out the
portion of
facility
the.
for manufacturing
It
purposes,
sounds like,
not just demo.
it sounds like a small portion of this work has started. And you're saying that once we get into the full review of the application, if they've completed, say, for instance, $100,000 worth of work out of the 1.2, that's not eligible for sales tax.
Correct, you can back
Cannot
out the
back the-
portion, yeah,
So that's, okay.
Right.
right, yeah, we can back out the
So
portion
if there's $1
related
million
to
left of
demolition
work
and
to be
modify.
completed going forward, that's eligible for the sales tax exemption. At that point, they know there's local labor requirements and they're hiring local labor and we're checking that.
Correct, and that's why the question was asked, I asked the question earlier, how much of this? There is more to this project than just demolition. They still have to fit out a manufacturing facility at the former Cogen facility. If the board would feel more comfortable that that dollar amount subject to demolition can be backed out, but they can still receive incentive for any work that is not commenced, because that is subject to all of the IDA's local labor policies.
Isn't that what Natalie just described?
Exactly,
Okay.
and that was reviewed with the applicant, as we do with all applicants.
Okay, got that.
That was my question. Just, we got the cart ahead of the horse. Simple.
Right, but they're,
But you can back
But
it
they-
out.
right. but we
That
can-
portion
we
will
can-
not be eligible for tax.
Correct.
exemption.
Right, so we can control for it.
Okay, so with that change, I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. A review discussion recommendation of a resolution accepting an application from Phoenix Endicott Industrial Investors. LLC, and authorizing a New York State and local sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $98,376. For a term not to exceed 12 months, consistent with the policies of the agency in connection with the demolition of a block of buildings located at 1701 North Street in the village of Endicott. And the installation of new electrical and mechanical services and facilities to accommodate building removals.
Okay. So this sales tax request from Phoenix Investors, as you know, Phoenix, who now owns and manages the Huron campus, has been doing renovations throughout the facility, but they've been doing those in phases. This is not their first request to us. However, this is related to the demolition of a block of buildings known as the Old Building Group. Installation of new and electrical and mechanical services and facilities to accommodate the building removals of that. So their total, their total project costs are roughly 5.8 million. If you go to page, sorry, let me rephrase. The estimated value of goods that will be exempt from New York State is roughly 1.23 million. Of that, $98,376,000 is subject for New York State sales and local use tax exemption. But that is the request. And if you will notice on page 8, I believe. Page 8, they have outlined all the contractors that will be involved with this project that are local contractors. Any questions?
Any questions?
I feel like we've seen this one before.
No, this is the Old Building Group. This is the 3 buildings that sit on between Hayes and McKinley Ave that are planned for demolition. So this is related directly to costs related to that demolition only. Yeah.
But yes, but Phoenix has come to us.
Yes, Phoenix is
3 other
not
times
there
for
first.
different.
Yeah, I just remember
Parts
that
of
phrase
the-
of old building group.
Yeah. Oh, no, they removed a roof on one of the other buildings and a boiler.
So they've been slowly, I guess, sort of decommissioning that building because of all of the way those buildings were constructed. They've been sort of slowly taking pieces apart for the larger demolition. Part of what they've been working on now is undoing underground, nothing that you see underground, and deconnecting, or I guess disconnecting electrical components that are underneath the Old Building Group, but that actually run across and underground into other facilities on the other side of the street. So what you will start to see, they still have one more issue they're dealing with the New York State, but what this will do will be to set them up for the actual physical demolition of the structures. moving forward, which should begin.
So Stacy, the reason that they're part of this is the installation of new electrical and mechanical. Gonna be used at other buildings that are still being used?
No, they have to, before they can take the building down, they have to deconstruct, sort of disconnect a lot of the underground. What the engineers discovered in looking at how to plan for that demolition is that a lot of what was kind of laid underground on this side of the road is actually connected to things on that side of the road. So there's been a lot of work, but it's just nothing you see above, because it's been a lot of slow.
Yeah, I guess that was my question. So it is connected.
We
Yeah.
should almost connect that whole complex.
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
just Keeping the school and the old.
Yeah,
McKinley going.
exactly. So they have to sort of take this apart over here to not affect that side of the road before they can actually start to do the
No.
demo.
Phoenix is out of Wisconsin.
Nope, they're based in they're headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They own about 75 million square feet of industrial space now, including this
And
campus.
most of the work is gonna be done by Clark.
Yeah, all the contractors are, so this is just one of their locations. So they are, they are based here in so much as they own the Huron campus.
Okay, after everything is demolished, what does Phoenix, what's their position? What do they do?
What do they do with the space?
Yeah,
I mean, ideally, we prep that for a shovel-ready site for more and another industrial user.
they will own the site.
Oh, yes, they'll still own. Mhm. They will own and control the site, and they can make that a build-ready site for a user that could be already affiliated with the campus or just somebody looking to come into the campus. But right now, as these buildings stand, it's nothing you want to do inside them. Yeah.
Any other questions? Discussion? Is there a motion? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
All right. My
And
agenda.
the next is a review discussion recommendation of a resolution authorizing the agency to purchase 51.96 plus 51.96 acres of land located at 1525 County Airport Road in the town of Union, subject to a reservation of subsurface mineral rights pursuant to the terms of the agreement on the sale and such other terms and conditions as agency counsel so deem appropriate. Daisy.
Okay, so as we continue to develop plans to construct the Broome, what we're calling the Broome Technology Park, we have been engaged in conversations for many months with Mike and Andrea Comfort, who own the land at the address you both noted. I will show you, this is the subject map area of our interest of our subject property. So as you see here, the land, this is Airport Road. Sorry, let's see if I can get this. This is Airport Road. This is where we, at this stage, envision our main source of ingress and egress for the planned park. This, Mike and Andrea Comfort's land is in the southeast corner. It is a very critical piece of land to the development of this park. We have, as I said, engaged in conversations for many months with Mike and Andrea Comfort to the point where we have reached what is in front of you now, a purchase agreement. They were interested in going directly into a purchase agreement with a 90-day due diligence period rather than a term, a 6-month to a year option agreement. They're very interested in selling this property. I would like to thank them. They have been under a lot of scrutiny and harassment on potentially selling to us. They recognize the need for what we're doing. And we are just thankful that they've been interested in working with us. You will note that the terms of this agreement do differ. However, they have requested, and we have spoken with council on the potential retention of mineral rights on that property. And as well, they have requested an amount of $6,500 per acre. Given that the fact that this is on Airport Road, which is again a critical location for us to enter and exit the park. We felt it was a reasonable request, and so we put forward this agreement of sale, a draft agreement of sale for you for consideration today. It's a great piece of property, and it's very critical to this project.
With the addition of this almost 52 acres, what does it give us control of in total?
In total, it would put us at 430, about 480 plus acres.
Okay.
Should we incorporate in the resolution what the cost is per acre and the total cost? I think we should.
Did you? Should we put that?
I mean, because we always put
We can add
we always
that.
put the figures in.
Right, the total cost would be roughly 337,740. We of course do a boundary survey that will define that exact acreage, but
So it would be 337, how much, 400?
337,740,
Okay. So,
determined by a boundary survey, of course.
so maybe at the end we can say for an amount of $6,500 per acre for a total cost of $337,740. So that's.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's important that just so people know, right? The other question I have, is more, I can't understand the concept of mineral rights, but practically, what does that do?
It really, well, how could this possibly come up in the future?
Well, it won't, because they're not gonna have any surface rights. This is all subterranean rights. They're gonna have no surface rights whatsoever.
Then why
I've
do they want
discussed
to
that-
retain them?
It's, for example, if they become part of a unit, you know, the 600-acre unit,
645.
somebody can go down and they can get some money out of it if New York State ever allows it. And they have the units. They're not gonna be able to drill or put any drilling apparatus on their property. I've discussed this at length with Harris Beach, and I've also discussed it at length with Scott Kurkowski at Hinman's, who's probably as well versed as any lawyer in this community. And their opinion was it does not affect developmental rights and won't have any impact.
And that was my question. I was wondering about they don't have surface rights. I was thinking,
Absolutely no.
otherwise, if that was an entranceway or something, and then they had rights to minerals, could they, start digging?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so it's just more of a philosophical thing.
Again, they could become part of a
Oh,
unit.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
Weird. One more math question.
Sure.
With 480 acres, is that? Where does that leave us of the total you'd like to control?
The total I would like to control there as an additional,
I would say we have additional information in this, and maybe we ought to, since it's still in
yes.
negotiations, we reserve that for.
480, my recollection is 480 is enough to do the project.
Absolutely,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was
yes,
really
yep,
getting at.
yeah,
But I can bring you up to speed.
Okay.
yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. Next item is a review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution authorizing the agency to enter into an agreement with Brown and Weintraub Advisors LLC for legislative and regulatory representation from June 20th, 24 through and including June 19th, 2025.
Yes, as we have been building out our project team for the Broome Tech Park, but also for broader economic development initiatives as they interconnect. So for example, we've been having a lot of conversations on energy development countywide. We're looking at subject area experts and key advisors for this work in the next year. So staff is recommending a professional services relationship with Brown and Weintraub Advisors LLC. Brown and Weintraub is one of the top-rated public affairs firm in New York State. The assistance we would seek from them through a year-long contractual engagement would for economic development projects through things like strategic relationship building with key federal and state regulatory agencies. They also provide federal and state grant assistance, as well as communications assistance as well. So the term of this, as mentioned, would be 1 year for an amount not to exceed $120,000. Questions?
So again, what are they gonna, I'm just trying to figure out for the 120 grand. They're going to represent us in Washington and New York?
Yes, they would provide assistance with, again, they've provided assistance with grant writing and grant preparation, so things like that at both the federal and state level. Getting relationships with key state federal regulatory agencies as we look for funding for this park, specifically for funding for the park. Also meetings with key officials within federal and state agencies to provide awareness on our larger scale economic development projects. So for example, the tech park is one, but also key meetings with, as we look for energy development right now, we're loosely estimating that over a 10-year period, we would want this park to be somewhere around a 100 megawatt facility. To do that, you have to do certain things. You have to complete a New York Independent System Operator study. A lot of regulatory bodies that are involved, they can help kind of expedite meetings and relationship building with those key entities so we can keep the process, seamless and just move things often more quickly for us.
So is it,
Keep us on pace.
do they bill by the hour or is it
It's
just,
a monthly.
they'll bill by the monthly and
Yep.
they'll detail for you what?
Yep, monthly retainer, yep.
Okay, is there any other questions? Comments? Motion, is there a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion to adjourn,
Yes, so moved.
is there a second?
All right.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.
All right, and we're gonna go right into IDA.